Hi, I'm Carrie Case. I'm your instructor, and we're going to go ahead and talk about how to email your instructor. Right now, most of your classes may be online or hybrid or possibly even face-to-face. However, a lot of the ways that you're going to communicate with your instructor is through email. And so you're going to email an instructor when you do want a relatively quick response, or when you do have a question and didn't have a chance to ask it in class. And so because this is written communication, it's vital to try your best to get this right when you're trying to get a response from your instructor. So email communication is vital to interact with your instructor, especially if you're in an online environment. And understanding that a formal voice in a polite manner can go a long way to get a detailed, quick, and helpful response when you have questions. So this can really mean the difference between getting an answer that you need the first time, or having to try to go back and forth with the instructor, or just getting frustrated and giving up because you're not getting the answers that you need. Okay? So let's look at a general email. When we look at this email actually is looking pretty good in structure and style. And for the most part, whenever you send an email, this is what it should look like. If it doesn't look like this, then go back and rethink what you're doing. Okay? So of course you're seeing that I'm Bob Smith at the moment, and I am emailing my instructor, Carrie Case. And clearly, the first thing that I have to make sure that I do is that I introduce what I plan to ask to my instructor. So this is going to be the main idea or the topic of your email so that you can give whoever you are emailing a heads up as to what you're looking for. That allows them to see if it's something they can probably respond to fairly quickly, or if it's something that they need to probably look at in just a little bit. So make sure you do have a clear topic in the subject line. A lot of spam folders and junk folders will actually eat an email if there is nothing in the subject line. So always make sure to put something in the subject line. Then make sure to greet your instructor or whomever you happen to be emailing. It could be a tutor, it could be a coworker. Whenever you send an email, this is a general rule, not just an instructor email. But greet and address the instructor. Careful about titles like professor. Those are typically very specific titles, or doctor, very specific titles. So if you're not quite sure, instructor is perfectly appropriate. Okay? Then make sure to tell them who you are. Now, if you have an ongoing relationship with this instructor at this point and you email them relatively often, you don't necessarily need to put your first and last name in there, but the very first time that you email an instructor, you should always put your first and last name in there because you may not be the only you in that class. I'm posing as Bob Smith in here. There could be 2 or 3 of those in the class. So be specific with who you are. But then you also need to tell the instructor what class you are in. Now, again, you can put that in the very beginning of the email. And again, the first time, that's a very good place to put it. After that, you can actually put it in the signature below your name. That way the teacher always knows what class you're from. It makes it a lot easier. Some instructors have as many as 8 or 9 classes. So if you tell them what class you're from, it helps them to find the grade you may be looking for or the information you may be looking for. So again, include that either in the first sentence, or you can include it as part of your closing after your name is almost like a signature. Now make sure to give context to the question. If you just say, I want to know about my exam grade, they have no idea what you're talking about. But if you say, I'm looking at my grade in Blackboard, I got to see on my exam. If you've had more than one exam, then it may be exam number 2 or the grammar quiz or something like that. The more specific that you can be about this grade that you're looking for, or this assignment that you have a question about, or class that you were in, Wednesday's class, last week's class, it's a big help for your instructor to get some context because they may get 10, 15, 20 emails a day, and it's good to know what the context is that you're asking about. The other thing that happens is a lot of times is you have to be very careful about your tone. And so taking the responsibility for the grade or taking the responsibility for not being able to find the assignment is a big help. Now, I'm not telling you to kiss boots. I'm telling you to just kind of take it on yourself. It's a very nice way, the whole, catch more with honey. And so if you say, you gave me a C on my test, no, that's not a good tone of voice. It's very aggressive. And instructors typically don't give grades. They record grades. So be very careful with the wording and the tone. But if you say, I noticed I got a C on my exam and I'm hoping to know what I did incorrectly, then that goes a long way to getting a response. You're likely to get a response more quickly, and you're likely to get a helpful response because you're asking for help rather than attacking your instructor. Of course, make sure to thank them, even if it seems like it's just, you're just chatting. It's okay. Thank them for their time. Thank them for their reply, but also kind of encourage them to reply back. I look forward to your feedback, or I look forward to seeing what I can do to improve, things like that. And then, of course, always close with your name. And again, if you want to put your class down here instead of in the first sentence, you can go ahead and do that. But definitely make sure your class and section are in there, especially the section. And again, you may know that you are in Creative Writing 1, but they may have students that are in Freshman English, Creative Writing 1, and Women's Lit. And so because of that, you want to make sure that you are, again, specific about the class, the section, and who you are. So all of these points make a very good email and are really important if you're looking for a specific answer and if you're looking for a quick reply. I hope this helps. Thanks.